Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. Thank you for joining me. I thought that we would start off the new year with some farmhouse thrift flips. We're going to be using part of Roycycled's sheep decoupage paper and also IOD's fleur-de-lis mould. We're also going to be using some Jovi air dry clay. You can find a full product list in the description of this video and all your crafting needs on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Let's get started. I found this cute little chicken statue at the thrift store and I think I paid about $3 for it. It was absolutely gorgeous, but I thought the color was very outdated. So after cleaning, I am going to paint this sweet little chicken using Dixie Belle's Endless Shore Silk Mineral Paint. Now this has a built-in stain blocker and it also has a built-in top coat. Endless Shore is a lovely cream colour and the silk line is a lot thicker, so you'll want to make sure that you're giving it about an hour in between coats. Next I'm adding one of my favourite products, Grunge Glaze. Now the silk paint already has the built-in top coat, so it's going to allow me to wipe back the glaze in the places where I don't want it so heavy. So that will allow me to have the glaze just sitting in all of those wonderful details. And here's our sweet finished chicken statue. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think that painting it all that one beautiful cream colour and adding the glaze really gives it a bit more of a high-end farmhouse look. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. This was a really easy, quick flip, very, very straightforward project. I hope that it's inspired you to give something you've got at home a makeover. Our next project is this sweet little chair that I picked up at the thrift store. It was $3 and I thought it had a lot of potential. My first job was to remove the embellishments that they'd added, so I'm using my little flathead screwdriver to very carefully work off all the little wooden bits and pieces that they've added there, and if I can, I am going to save those because you never know when those sorts of things might come in handy because they are still very cute, just not appropriate for the look that I'm going for today. So I've removed those and I'm going to give it a light sand with some medium grit sandpaper. I wasn't exactly sure what colour to go with to start off with, so when I'm in this situation I do pick a lighter colour to use as a base. So I'm using Dixie Belle's Sawmill Gravy. First, it is a chalk paint, so it has really great adhesion, so I am going to apply 2 coats of that, and once all those details have been painted over, it's going to give me a better idea of where I want to go with this project, sort of like having a blank canvas. I decided that I wanted to add one of IOD's molds, so I am adding some Jovi air dry clay to the little rooster that's in the fleur-de-lis mold, and then I'm very carefully working it out. And then I'm going to use some strong wood glue to adhere the rooster to the center on the back of that chair. I'm also using a wet wipe to wipe off any excess glue. I'm then going to stipple or dab on some paint. I want to get a little bit of texture happening. We do want this to be a farmhouse, sort of a weathered look, so we're just stippling that paint on. In the end, I decided I wanted more of a two-tone look, so I am brushing on some of Dixie Belle's French Linen Chalk Mineral Paint. I'm not being very careful or precise about how I add the paint, and I'm actually happy when some of that Sawmill Gravy peeks through. I think that it adds to that sort of weathered look. I am going to leave the Sawmill Gravy in the center of the back of the chair, however, where the rooster is. I think that will be a really nice way to frame that design out. So I'm just going to do the one imperfect coat, and then once that's dry, I am coming in with Dixie Belle's flat clear coat to seal the entire piece. We are going to be layering some glazes shortly, and this provides a great base that I can wipe back. The first glaze we're going to use is one of my favorites. Again, this is Grunge Glaze, and I'm adding it with a brush, and then I'm using a paper towel to wipe it back, and I'm dabbing and sort of sponging it off again to give it more of a weathered look, and I'm adding it to the entire piece. It is going to deepen that French linen color a little bit, but this is just the first layer of glaze. Once the grunge glaze is dry, I am coming in with the white wash glaze straight over the top, and I am again wiping some of it off. You can still see that grunge glaze there. It's just giving that tonal contrast. I'm also adding it to the rest of the chair, and again, it's actually giving it a little bit of a weathered wood look actually, which I thought was pretty cool. So I'm going to add that to the entire piece, and again, I'm using that paper towel to wipe it back in certain areas. And in other areas, I do actually want that white to sort of pull and gather, just like we did with the grunge glaze. I'm really loving this look actually, and I think it's probably something that I would use to recreate that sort of beech wood or that weathered wood look. You could even use it on furniture. I just think that I love when I have these happy accidents and I discover new techniques. And here's our sweet little finished chair. I'm really happy with how this project turned out. It's definitely given me some techniques to try on some other projects. I think that this would look really, really cute as a riser in a hutch display or in a kitchen. I just think it would be a really versatile piece. Let me know what you think of this project in the comments. Our last project is this really solid Australian made tray that I found at the thrift store. It was pretty plain, so after cleaning it, I am going to give it 2 coats of Dixie Belle's Sawmill Gravy. I'm going to be painting the entire thing. Now, this was not a shiny surface, so again, I'm not worried about the paint adhering. Chalk paint has great adhesion, so I haven't worried about doing any primers. So I'm painting the entire thing, including inside the handles. This paint has really great coverage. You can see this is only the 2nd coat, and I really don't think that I need the 3rd. On the inside base of the tray, I decided I wanted to add some decoupage paper, so I'm going to be using the beautiful Sheep Roycycled Treasures design here. I really love these 2 little sheep here, and it's perfect. It's in landscape, so I'm just sort of lining it up here, working out if it's going to be the correct size, and I'm very lucky it is. It's going to fit almost perfectly. So I'm just lining it up, working out what I need to do in terms of trimming the paper, and I'm just sort of figuring out how much to cut. So I'm just cutting down the center there, making sure that I've left enough paper, and I will save that other design for future use. Next, I'm actually going to position the paper inside the tray, and I'm going to make sure that it's going to sit the way that I want it to. And I'm actually going to crease using my fingers and my fingernail where I'm going to need to cut. And whenever I do this, I try and make sure that I do leave just that little bit extra, just in case I haven't measured perfectly. If you don't have long enough fingernails to do this, you could definitely maybe use a ruler or something like that. Just make sure you're very gentle when you're doing this. The paper could still rip. Now that I've got my creases where I need them, I'm going to use some scissors to trim off the excess. Again, I am leaving a couple of millimeters on the outside of the line to make sure that I haven't cut it too short. I definitely recommend that you save any of your offcuts, any of your leftover bits of paper, because you never know when you might need them. So I'm trimming off the excess on the sides, but I decided that I was going to leave the excess that's down the bottom because I am going to be working the paper into the grooves of the tray, and I don't want to come up short down the bottom. Because of the way that the grooves are in the tray, I decided to turn it around and apply the decoupage paper this way because, again, I'm going to be working the paper into the grooves. I'm applying Dixie Belle's flat clear coat in a strip. This is going to be our anchor strip. It's going to hold the paper down as we work our way down, and it's going to make sure that the paper doesn't slip and slide away. And doing it in sections allows you to make sure that you don't get any air bubbles, and it does minimize wrinkles. You don't want to apply a whole bunch of product and then have your paper down and have air bubbles. They're very tricky to get out. So once I've got my product down, I'm going to carefully lay my paper down, and then I'm using a ball of cling wrap to carefully smooth the paper down. And you can see I'm sort of lifting it up in places, repositioning it. You can do that, just be gentle. So I'm using the cling wrap to carefully smooth the paper down. I don't want to risk doing it with just my fingers because I could create friction or my nails could accidentally rip the paper. Once I've got the first part of the paper down, I'm carefully pressing the decoupage paper into the grooves. Here I'm just using a little squeegee that came with a window decal that I did in the past, and I'm very carefully using that to smooth the paper down a little bit as well. Again, you don't necessarily need this. I do tend to use a ball of cling wrap usually when I'm doing this. So again, I'm repeating the process. I'm applying a strip of product. I'm also making sure that I'm getting it into the grooves of the tray, and then I'm very carefully laying my paper down a little bit at a time. If I get any really obvious creases, I do very gently lift the paper up and then reposition and gently push back down. So I'll be repeating these steps each time, just working in sections until I have all of my decoupage paper down. Let me know in the comments if you have tried this beautiful sheep decoupage paper by Roycycled Treasures in the comments, and let me know what project that you used it on. The method that we're using today is called the wet method, where you apply the wet product, smooth the paper down, and then add more product on top. You could also do the iron-on method. This is where you apply several coats of your product, let it dry, and then lay your paper down, and then use some baking paper between your decoupage paper and an iron on the cotton setting. This allows the heat to reactivate the top coat, which then adheres your decoupage paper, and then you would then again apply another coat to seal your paper. That's just another way that you can do it. I'll try and do a video on that in the future. I picked this method because I have a lot more success with it. I would worry that the decoupage medium underneath would not activate in the little gaps, in the little ridges on the tray, so I decided that the wet method was the best approach for today. You can see that I do have a couple of little wrinkles in my paper. I'm not too worried about those, as often as the paper dries, these wrinkles will disappear. Once my decoupage was dry, I came in with a craft knife, and I'm actually going to very gently trim off the excess paper down the bottom there. So I'm going to lightly run the knife along the paper, and then I'm going to be able to carefully rip the paper back. Once I've removed the excess, I'm going to apply 2 more coats of Dixie Belle's Flat Clear Coat to seal and protect my piece. I then decided to use some medium grit sandpaper to distress the edges of my tray. And here's our finished tray. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I absolutely love that decoupage paper, and I think that this was the perfect project to use it on. Let me know what you think of this little tray in the comments, and please hit that like button if you liked today's projects. I really enjoyed giving these thrifted finds a makeover using Dixie Belle, Roycycled Papers, and IOD. Let me know which of these projects was your favorites in the comments. Please hit that like button if you liked today's video, and the share button. Make sure you check out my other thrift flip projects in our playlists. And if you're not already, I would love it if you could hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our DIYs or furniture makeovers. You can find all the products used on today's video on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.